In the next few days, according to U.S. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz, the U.S. will hit 1 million encounters. That means apprehensions, folks, for fiscal year 2022. Fiscal 2022 began on October 1st. That means 1 million in just 6 months, and that is not including the gotaways. This is from the very excellent Fox News reporter who does the border reporting. Clay, I will look up his name. I'm sorry. I pulled this. I tried to pull the whole tweet. I only got some of the tweet there. But
it's going to get worse, too. You know this better than anybody. As we roll into 2022 and as the weather gets in a situation where you can come across in March, April, and May before it gets super hot, that's when people can really pour across the border in monster numbers. And
if they get rid of Title 42, there is already intelligence that Border Patrol has that there are, we were calling them caravans, but it's almost like a caravan in place already. They're not mobile. They've already gathered on the Mexico side of the border, and they're just waiting for that Title 42 to drop, and then they're going to try to overwhelm the border resources. And this is why I try to tell everybody, sorry, I was just mentioning, I was trying to get to law enforcement on the cop side, and we'll get to that in a second. I just got stuck with Border Patrol thoughts because, again, we got a lot of Border Patrol folks, and they appreciate it because they say there's just not nearly enough time spent on this issue, which is number 2 in the polls of most Republican voters. Is always high up for independent voters, too. Very important issue nationwide. Illegal immigration, very important issue nationwide. What ends up happening is people think if we have more resources deployed at the border, even if, let's say, we were to send the military to the border, which people will talk about, that would help a little bit. It wouldn't solve the problem because the problem we have at the U.S.-Mexico border right now for illegal entry is one of law enforcement and political will and statute. And for anyone who wants to know what I mean, you could have National Guard standing every 10 feet along the border. And folks, you know what happened right now? Family units, especially with unaccompanied family units and unaccompanied children, would say, "Hello, here I am. I would like to claim asylum." And under the law, as it is interpreted and enforced right now, they are led into the country and they are processed. It is not if only we had more people down there at the border, we could solve this problem, because the people that are in charge don't want to actually enforce the laws that are currently on the books, and not in a serious way. They don't do interior enforcement. Clay, it's a mess.
Here's how well it is distributed worldwide to know what a mess it is. I read this article and I couldn't believe it. We've heard a lot more about the Ukrainian border than we have our southern border. But here's an intersection of the two. There are Ukrainians now who have fled Ukraine, flown to Mexico, and are coming across to get into the United States through our southern border. It is so well known how much of a sieve that our southern border is that even people right now in Ukraine, Buck, who are fleeing outside of their country are aware, hey, I can take a flight from Europe to Mexico, and when I get to Mexico, I can cross the United States border there at the southern border. There, I was reading, I think it was a New York Times article about Ukrainians who are making the choice to come across our southern border to enter and claim asylum in that method.
Right, because they go
That's
to the
pretty wild to think about.
They go to the front of the asylum line, in a sense. They decide that they won't actually. Remember, refugee would be applying from the, let's say, embassy in Poland. That's refugee status. Asylum is, here I am, I need to stay here or else. So I totally understand why Ukrainians would see that
the system.
as the way to get into the country and stay here. So anyway, the border is something we'll continue to bring you the numbers and focus on. I actually want to get down there again, probably this summer when it can be.
I've never been.
Balmy.
I would actually like. We should do a show. Yeah, we should just take the show and remotely do it.
I've got great contacts down there. We'll get some folks on the Texas side, man. It'll be good. So let's do that. We should get down there to the border at some point. We have some great affiliates down in Texas that could host us, and we'll spend some time there. Because Clay, once you see it, and once you see what's going on, which is just 100 people walking over saying, "Hey, here we are. Bring us sandwiches and water. Where's my medical care?" People think that the border is like this lockdown. Oh no, we're really well. Actually, most people don't think that anymore, but they think that it's this. Area that is well patrolled, and Border Patrol stretched all over the place. The humanitarian mission, they all say this. humanitarian mission is way overshadowing their law enforcement sovereignty and national security mission, which is not, that's not really what they sign up for. I mean, yeah, of course, our border patrol folks, who, by the way, are a large percentage of them are former military. A large percent of them are Latino Americans. So when you hear this stuff, oh, Border Patrol, the whole thing is so racist. It's a lot of veterans and a lot of Hispanic Americans who are on the Border Patrol who are doing really important work, and the media just slanders.
I mean,
them,
look at what happened with the horse. I mean, that the reins on the horse. I mean, it's still 6 months later, like they were whipping people. There hasn't been any resolution.
And they remember when they were saying abolish ICE too. That became under the Trump administration, the AOC, and she went down and she was crying and the whole thing. I mean, it's
dressed in
it's
all
amazing.
white.
We're all going to be
it was so ridiculous.
TikTok stars are going to be the dictators of the future. We're all going to be living in fear of the TikTok idiots every whims. But anyway, so that's one component of this, and I guess I was going to say the other. We've got Team Buck and Team Clay. Team C and B law enforcement. So many people who listen to the show from the law enforcement community, and I just feel like that they, as they see in this Biden budget, that defund the police is moronic, and it's not moronic in general terms of I don't like this, it's annoying or like mask policy. I mean, I think it's abusive and frustrating, but it isn't. I'm not going to say mask policy kills people, right? Defund the police rhetoric and progressive prosecutors and bail reform laws results in people dying. When you get this stuff wrong, people die. The numbers speak to this. And Clay, look at the Biden budget. I think it's over $30 billion for law enforcement and law enforcement initiatives because they realize no one wants to feel. Over half the country last year said they felt, it was about 52% according to Gallup, felt unsafe. That's a disaster for the pro-criminal Democrats.
And we keep hammering this because so many people will not address it or acknowledge it. If you look at the murder rate in this country, which went up 29%, I believe, most recently, and is continuing to skyrocket in many places as we roll through 2022, the people who are dying are overwhelmingly in inner city neighborhoods, overwhelmingly Black and Hispanic inner city residents. And they are the people who bear the brunt of the defund police call because police are not being allowed to do their jobs. And what we are seeing is many people in the Democratic Party now, they see the numbers and they're just going to pretend the defund the police didn't happen and they didn't demonize the police. And as I've been saying since I started on this show, being concerned about being too punitive towards criminals is a luxury of a low-crime era. And we no longer live in a low-crime era. We need to be concerned about punishing criminals and sending a message about what is and what is not acceptable. And right now we aren't, but even the Biden administration is recognizing the disaster that is their defund the police narrative that has come out of the Democratic Party, and they're abandoning it.